Hi there, my name is Mohammed Ibrahim Tayyab, and I can't believe I'm finally getting to say this, but welcome to Chat EbT. I'm very excited for our first episode to have a phenomenal guest right here on the show. I'm sure you've all heard of her, her vibrant personality, her amazing videos, and I'm just so excited to have a chat to her. So let's welcome Fehmz.
Thank you so much
Fehmz.
for having me. I'm very excited.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here on the show. I always like to say this. I'm never going to do your introduction justice. So before we start, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and just give us a bit of a background on Fehmz?
I must introduce myself. Guys, that's the most intimidating thing. I don't know. I'm just an average girl who does fun things, I guess. Or who's finally getting to do the most fun of things. So I'm a foodie. I'm an adventurer. I've worked a lot, but I'm working on a lot more fun stuff now. So I think I've found my zing, and that's what I'm doing now. And I'm excited to be here and talk about all the things you want to talk about. But if I had to go into my background, that would be another hour of a show. I think a lot of people sort of know me a lot more now because of social media, right?
Yeah.
So like people get to know me because of social media, and a lot of people ask me, okay, what's your background? And I'll go, well, what do you know me for? And they'll go, Instagram and food. Yes, yes. I love food. I love making food. I love sharing food. That's part of the biggest part of where I am right now.
No, 100%. You know, one of the big reasons why I wanted to actually chat to you.
Yeah.
I actually went for a conference quite some time back, and the key speaker there did a whole presentation about the importance of branding yourself.
Okay.
And I think he probably had you in mind when he was doing the presentation, because I really think, in all honesty, you've created this phenomenal brand around you as a person, not necessarily, a particular product or anything like that. You've basically created a brand of yourself, right? So can you talk to us a little bit about that journey as you were going into this, whole social media adventure, the creation of this person and this person that we see on the screen today?
Yeah. So look, I'll tell you, at the very beginning, I don't think I even realized that what I was doing would become a brandable, if that's the right word. Because when I started out in social media, it was at the very beginning. It was at the beginning of when Instagram was starting and all of that stuff. And all I did at that point was just share the things I loved, right? So if I loved sharing food, it's the center of our home.
Yeah.
It's what I shared a lot of. But what I saw is that as momentum started picking up of people going online, of people, getting social media, and I think 2020 was a big boom of a lot of people getting
100%.
online, which changed a lot of things. For me, what I realized was that you have to be adaptable.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to recognize when it's time to say, okay, there's a shift happening. Am I shifting with it? Or am I, holding myself back? And I think one of the biggest things was, as the shift was happening, I was excited to see where it was going. So I was like following along, but not realizing in the end that something like this would happen. But 2020 was definitely a turning point. It was a turning point when we started to see, because a lot more people went online, it was also how you differentiated yourself, how people liked what you did. And I started really falling into what I loved to do. And what I loved to do was to almost, I'm going to say, talk to people. It's almost like I wanted to talk to people as if everybody was right there in my home, in my kitchen, and I was saying, come guys, we can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. If I can inspire you just to be able to go into your kitchen and do one thing. And it transcends just recipes. It was about taking you into my life and talking to you as if you're part of my life.
Yeah.
And I landed up doing that a lot more, and I found that people really related to it. So it didn't matter if I was making a recipe, or I was out eating somewhere, or I was out traveling somewhere, which is one of my other favorite things to do, and showing them everywhere I was going, or showing them things I was doing. But I was sharing it as if like, you guys are along with me. And that was the biggest, for me, it was a mindset change, and it was, now I see how I am the brand, I have this brand called Fehmz. Like, this is the thing. And that 2020, 2021 shift, it was the biggest difference. And I think when I realized that was happening, I realized, okay, I need to get serious about Fehmz as the brand.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows me as Fehmz, but my dad named me Femida. I am Femida,
100%.
right? But Fehmz is the brand. And that's what it's become. And that's what I love doing. Like, when I say I found my zing, like this is the thing that I so enjoy doing. When people come back to me, they're like, we really loved this thing that you went on, or this, this recipe that you made and I tried it. It's almost like a fulfilling moment going, okay, the thing that I wanted to do is bring you with me, you're there. And I've now, as the years go by, in an organic way, you have to realize that you start taking yourself more seriously, and you start treating your brand more professionally. And I think that's super important. One of the things is that you can't just go, I want to go out there, like you do chat EBT, right? When you do EBT, it transcends past who you are as Mohammed Ibrahim Tayyib, because now this is the brand EBT, right? And when you start looking at it and go, okay, so what are the possibilities for EBT? That's how I start looking now. And I go, what are the possibilities for Fehmz? And that's when I start really pushing myself and thinking out of that box. And I think anybody can do it. I wish more people would do it. I think it's the most liberating space to be in, to start looking at yourself and going past that and going, okay, if now this is the thing, what are the possibilities out there? And it literally is anything. The possibilities are endless.
100%. You know, I love how you put that with the splitting of, you know, the brand and the person. So like EBT and Mohammed Ibrahim Tayyib. So, and I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit later, but one of the things I've always struggled with personally is self-confidence.
Yes.
But
me too.
somehow when the mics go on, when the cameras go on, I become that person who can take those risks that I wouldn't necessarily take in my everyday life, you know? And so I have actually found that is that your brand actually allows you to be a little bit fearless in a way.
Yes.
So do you feel like you're able to explore many more avenues as the Fehmz versus Femina?
Yes, I think so. Because sometimes when I go back to just being my dad's daughter, there is the other things of societal expectations and everything else that reminds you of where you were in your childhood and everything else. But it's all about setting, I think it is about setting your mind right and going, okay, but as the brand of Fehmz, what are the possibilities, right? But on top of that, I think one of the important things, whether it's EBT, whether it's Fehmz, whether it's anybody else's brand, whether they're branding themselves or they're branding their product, their service, their whatever, is about always putting yourself, like you put your heart in it, right? And I think that's what sets you apart from just having a service or a product or anything else. When you're branding something that is you, because you are the face of Chat EBT, I'm the face of Fehmz, you can't help it, but you and your personality is 90% of that brand. There is the 10% that's like you can fly, and you've got to hold on to that as well, because that's the part that you can lose quickly if you start losing your self-confidence. And confidence isn't something that I woke up today and I'm forever confident. Let's be honest, right? You're working on it all the time.
No, it's a constant challenge.
It's impossible not to have self-doubt. But it's about how you look at that, and then you look back at the brand and you go, but what are the possibilities? I tell my kids this thing, it's really simple. Like, if I fail at something, do you beat yourself up about it, or do you use it as an opportunity to learn from, so that you can be better the next time, so I can succeed the next time? And I think if you start looking at failure that way, then it helps when it comes to that self-doubt. Like, yes, everything you do, there's a risk of it failing. But what if it doesn't? I always go, but what if it doesn't? Yes, there's a risk it's going to fail. But what if it doesn't? If it doesn't, that's the most exciting thing that can happen. So rather go in with that mindset.
You know, when you said that, actually made me think of a quote from Jim Carrey, right? So I'm a big fan of comedy, and Jim Carrey is probably one of the best, you know, TV screen comedians of our generation. He actually admitted that his father was actually probably even a better comedian and more funnier than him.
Wow.
His father wanted to take a safe option because, you know, he had a family to provide for. So he didn't actually go into comedy. He went into accounting.
Wow.
And one day, his company shut down, or he got, you know, retrenched or something, and that sent the Carrey family into sort of very difficult times and poverty.
Wow.
So when Jim Carrey had to decide what to do, he came up with this very lovely quote that I always like to use, and he's saying, you can fail doing the safe thing you don't want to do. So you might as well do what you want to do.
That's
You know?
actually really good.
And
Wow.
I love the way you said it, is that you look at it as failure as a, yes, something can fail, but what if it doesn't? I think that's a really great way of looking at things, and I really hope some of our viewers take that away, because, I know I've pretty much gone through a lot of my life thinking, okay, but what if I fail at something? And then a lot of the times you don't even start that,
Yeah.
So you fail at 100% of the things you don't try,
Absolutely.
right? And you used a very interesting word earlier on. You said inspire, right? So for our viewers, somebody that's looking to get into social media,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I started the show with saying, I can't believe I'm saying this, because Chat EbT has actually been a brainchild of mine for, I think, probably the last 5 years.
Wow.
But I've been trying to make it perfect in a way, and anytime I come across it, it's like, okay, but if that happens, it's probably going to fail, so let's wait, let's get it perfect. And it took a very long time. So what do you say to those people that, how would you inspire those people that even though there's a little bit of doubt,
Yeah.
to just start that process, or, go into social media?
There's no such thing as perfect, right? So there's no such thing as like the perfect outcome from a perfect episode, from a perfect product. Everything goes through some kind of development to get it to a point, right? If you don't start, when do you go through the development? I always just say start. Like, I actually, if I can tell everybody, this is probably the worst thing that I can tell anyone to do, is go back and go and look at my first posts. They're horrible. They're terrible.
Yeah.
But I just started. I put up those crappy pictures. I put up that crappy video. I put up that crappy voiceover. But if I didn't just do it, I wouldn't have learned more about myself and what I'm more comfortable doing every single time. Every single post is an opportunity to learn and be better for the next one. So every single thing we do, there's no such thing as even putting a product out there that the next iteration is not going to be better. You can't expect that the first thing you're going to do is going to be the perfect item. It's impossible. It's like going to school and learning maths and going, I got 100% my first test. That's problematic. Like, you have to fail at things to learn, right?
Yeah,
and you
100%.
have to be able to have things to improve on to get better, which is generally in life, right? So in life, we are all just striving to be better humans, better Muslims, better all the time.
Yeah.
Which means I'm not perfect today. Which means today is a learning opportunity for me to be a better person, a better Muslim, a better entrepreneur, a better everything, so that tomorrow I'm better. And that is what life and timelines are, right? It's all about us improving ourselves, improving what we do. I just say start, like Nike, just do it.
Yeah, 100%.
Just do it.
And I like the way you put that. You said you're not perfect today. I can learn today, but you didn't say so that I can be perfect tomorrow. You said I can be better tomorrow. So it's a thing that you're never going to achieve that perfection, but you're always going to get closer and closer to being the best version of yourself.
I think in your head there's an idea of perfection, but the reality is they always say somebody like, when you set goals, you land up, when you get to that goal, you realize maybe that wasn't the goal. There was another one further on, because the idea of evolving and changing and being organic and being open to change is that maybe in 2015, all we thought of was, okay, I want to tomorrow be on, I don't know, YouTube or TV. Nobody probably even thought TikTok was coming. And now you've got people who are TikTok stars. So the idea of being somebody who's open to change and organic means you have to be able to change the dream. You can have the dream and you can stick to it, but if you had still done Chat EbT then, would it look like what it's looking like now? You don't know.
Yeah, true.
And what
Very
it
true.
looks like now may not be what it looks like in a year's time, right? So I think a lot of times we do hold ourselves back thinking that there's an idea and there's like a full stop at the end of the word perfect, but it's not really a full stop. I think there's just, it's continuous. We continuously improving, we continuously working on ourselves. I don't think there's ever an idea of like, okay, here's the thing, I got it. It's perfect. Maybe a product, I guess. But I don't think ourselves, like as humans. I think we're always working on bettering ourselves.
No, 100%. Before, while I was doing my research, I, came across a couple of different interviews that you did. And in those interviews, you mentioned how, you felt like you didn't necessarily have the normal, and I say that with quotes, normal look of a
Yes.
social media influencer and that.
Yeah.
How did you push yourself to get past that, and what are some of the challenges that you faced, with regards to that mindset? As in,
Yeah.
I don't look, a certain way.
It's actually not easy. It's not something you can push yourself past, because the reality is I don't look like what a normal social media influencer is going to look like. I don't look like what every other person who is doing food or anything else on social media is. I'm fluffier. I wear hijab. I'm a Muslim girl. I'm shorter. I use a lot of colloquial language, let's say, right? But I think the funny thing about social media is that you put yourself out there not knowing what you're going to get back. And what I got back was community. And the community of people who were out there were they were amazing. They helped me to be more confident, because when they would comment, they would really enjoy what I was doing. And I'd always go, oh my gosh, like when people say, oh, you like me, you really like, it's that moment like, okay guys, how are you all seeing this that I struggle to see in myself? And that became a turning point for me, where I realized that I needed to believe in myself more. And when I started believing in myself more, it also changed the game for me. And I think I've come to a point now, and thank goodness for the community that, that they've built themselves. I would like to say I've built this community, but I have not. They built themselves around me, and they've been the most important part of me being able to do what I do. And without that community being there, their support has been insane. But they also taught me that believing in yourself is so important. And they've helped me when I struggle with my self-confidence to go, wait a minute, you can do this, you can go out there, and somebody's making your soji recipe, it means you got something, girl. Like, believe in yourself a little bit more, And that was huge for me. And it really helped me build my confidence a lot more. Which now, I'm a bit more self-assured. I know what I can do. I know what my abilities are, and I know where I need to continue to grow. And huge change. I can't say it's been everything. And do I still get hate? Yes. Do I still get, you're not the right size, you're this, you're that? Yes, of course, there's all of that. But you know what? I have a family, I have kids, and I have a community, and I have myself. Inside, I had to, if you don't work on yourself, you're not going to get there. I have myself, and now I've come to a point where I do believe in my own abilities. It's important. And that's why if you scared to start, just start, because you can only grow from it. You have to be willing and open to do that.
No, 100%. You mentioned your family there, right?
Yeah.
So, and we focused a lot at the beginning of this talk on branding and the brand versus the person.
Yes.
How different is the brand Fehmz that we see on the screen every day and the mom Fehmz that makes dinner every night for the kids?
Very similar, actually. Except that you don't see my kids, and you don't see when I'm screaming and I lose my mind, maybe. But most of the time, like, I think one of the things was when I was sharing myself and bringing you into my home, it was bringing you in as raw as it was. So if there's what I'm making for us for supper is what you're seeing me cook and show you that we're making. They eat what I make. Like, if there's I just make it for the screen. I make it because my family is eating it that day.
Oh, that's lovely.
I don't include my family in my pictures and all of that stuff. My husband is fine, he's an adult, but I don't believe that my kids, they're not adults, they're not of consenting age.
Yeah.
So, and I believe in protecting them for as long as they can from these kind of things. So I don't show them on social media, but do I show activities that we do? If we go out together, do I show those things? Most of the time, yes. What I have done as I've grown though, is I've always tried to stagger time. So I don't always post real time.
Okay.
If you're going to see something, I mean, first of all, editing takes time.
Takes very long.
So the meal you show me, the meal you see me sharing today is not necessarily the meal we are eating today. We may have eaten it yesterday or a week ago, because it takes time to edit, right? Sometimes if it's a rush, then yes. And sometimes even with stories, if I've gone out for the day, I might only upload all of those at the end of the day. And when I was younger and first into social media, I used to kind of do everything immediately. But I've come to a point where I value time. And time with family and time with people are so important that I can capture, but I don't have to immediately go online and
Yeah.
post. So I can pull out my phone and take pictures, yeah, but doesn't mean I have to post immediately. Unless it's something that I'm booked to do or those sort of things, then yes, I know that that's my job, because this is what it's become,
Yeah.
right? So if you're booked by a brand, it's a job. And unless it's that, then I know I'm posting immediately, but then I post afterwards. And I try to keep it as real as possible. Obviously, you're not going to be able to, not everybody's recording every failure.
Yeah,
But you are
100%.
recording when you are recording a meal. So I think that is it. I'm not like specifically recording, I don't know, me sliding down a wall crying over something. I mean, I don't have time to
Yeah,
set up
100%.
tripods for those things. But if my tripod is up and I'm busy doing, filming whatever, and my kids are screaming at me in the background, it's there. It might not always be there in edit, but it's there, right?
For me, a really big focus
Yeah.
of this show, and why I say really big focus is because it's something that I'm actually going through personally at the moment, right? Is a person's ability to pivot,
Yes.
right? So, gone through your life a whole certain way, and all of a sudden, things just change. Now, you mentioned that, and correct me if I'm wrong, at the age of 40,
Yes.
you decided to quit your job
Yes.
and went on this journey,
Yes.
right? What was the leading, or what led up to that decision, if I could say?
Yeah.
And, why social media?
Well, I didn't quit my job to start social media. I had started it already. It was
Okay.
already all there. What I'd done was, it was already part of what I was doing and what I was learning and whatever. The risk was, a lot of people say you just take a risk, and it is. Sometimes it's a more calculated risk. And when you have a family, calculated risks,
It's very important,
they're
yeah.
important, right? Because you can't just, you can't, I would love to be able to just jump off the cliff and be like, okay, we're doing this. But it's not always easy, especially if you have kids. They have no right to be thrown in a situation
Yeah,
like
100%.
that. So with me, I was working, I love my job. I actually have loved almost every job I've had. And I was really working in a lovely firm, and I was a marketing manager, and we were doing amazing stuff. And in fact, they hired me as a marketing manager based on my social media stuff that I was doing beforehand.
Oh,
So they
okay.
had already seen the potential of where I was going on socials, and went, okay, we need this kind of social person to come in as a marketing manager. But I turned 40 in 2020, which is like, everybody's like COVID year. That was the year I turned 40. But because everything had turned and I saw the possibility of where this could go, I knew that I couldn't still juggle. There comes a point when you have to recognize that if I don't take this risk, I don't know what the possibility is.
Yep.
So I couldn't continue to juggle my job and social media and my small businesses. I just couldn't. So I had to take the decision. And the decision was, do I choose something that goes with my legacy, or do I leave that aside and stick to the job? And I chose that because I want to be able to build something of my own. And that's why I was just like, okay, let's just do it. Has it been easy? By no means it's been easy. By zero means has it been easy. But has it been fulfilling? Absolutely. 100,000%.
I like how you said, has it been easy? I think most people, look from the outside in and think Fehmz switched on her phone, started to record a video, and had, so many tens of thousand followers right off the gate.
No.
It's really quite a process. And the term overnight success is very overly used, but I don't think there's ever such a thing. I don't think anybody does
There's
become
no
an
such
overnight.
thing. There's no
Exactly.
such thing as overnight success. It's just that it looks like an overnight success to you, but nobody sees the sleepless nights and the years before that. Because remember, what people tend to focus on is when they see you, they see you as an end product, right?
Yep.
Here's the dot. But they don't actually see the process and all the failures that you did beforehand. And a lot of times I want to look at people and say, guys, I've had so many failed businesses. I've had so many failed things. You're constantly going through that. It's an ebb and flow all the time. Even right now, just because you see me post a video on social media and somebody has 20,000 followers, it does not mean they have 20,000 Rand in their bank account. I mean, it would be great if for every follower you had a Rand, but no, it doesn't translate that way by any means at all. It's whether you get a brand deal or not. Most of the time we do videos, I share because I want to share a recipe that I'm making for my family. How do I pay for groceries that month? Well, if I'm lucky, I have a brand deal in. If I'm not lucky, I don't have a brand deal in. Sometimes at the beginning of the year, you have no brand deals for the first 3 or 4 months. When it comes through to winter, you may have one brand deal. As it gets towards December, brand deals start coming in a lot more. But the reality is, dry months are more than busy months. And you have to be able to have the appetite to grin and bear it through that. And just continue doing the thing you love, because, like I said, it's still my zing. So even though I might be on a tough financial day, I'm still having a lekker food day. And I'm going to share with you a lekker recipe, because this is a lekker day.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think a lot of people just think it's something you jump on and it's easier. And I can't lie, there are people who've worked really hard on YouTube, on building their YouTube profiles, on building those things, and they're doing okay. But you got to be willing to do that working really hard part. And there's one really, like Gary Vee always says this, he's like, even if your first video has 10 views, and your second video has 11 views, and your third video has 12 views, just keep doing it. Just keep posting. It doesn't matter. As long as the content you're making, you're happy with, just keep doing it. And you might not be happy with it like after a year, because you might look back at it and go, those are my worst videos. But it's okay. Just keep doing it. Keep posting, keep doing it, keep sharing. At some point, you're going to find the thing that becomes your niche. And make sure that that is what you're working towards. Don't work towards somebody else's niche or whatever. Find the thing that you feel fulfilled by and that you feel you connect with, right?
Yep.
When you're doing these things online, on socials, or not on socials. Maybe you're not a social media person, but find the thing that connects with you and make it yours. Find your niche.
Yeah.
And I think that's also what set me apart, is that when I found the thing that I really enjoyed doing it, it connected better. It connected so well with the community. And that, it changed the game.
100%. You know, one of the most popular YouTubers in the world right now is MrBeast.
Yes.
He came out and actually said that if you want to look at going, creating your own YouTube channel, you got to look at not having the potential of not having a single viewer for your first 100 videos.
Yes.
He said only after your first 100 should you start actually looking at how many people are viewing, or how many viewers, how many followers. And I think that's the thing that people don't see. I think it's the 100 videos before that 5 people watched.
Nobody sees it.
That nobody
sees it. And it's the truth, because I can have a bunch of followers on Instagram, but I have very few on YouTube, and it takes a long time. I'll be posting the videos and just getting nothing. And it's so funny, because you're posting the same kind of thing on Instagram and you're getting a whole different reaction, and you're posting the same thing on YouTube and you're getting 0 reaction. And you have to have I'm going to say you have to have the thick skin to just go, it's okay. I just keep going. And that's what I do. I just keep going. At some point, you just got to, I don't know, maybe I'm just that person. I just keep going. I'm like, if I believe in it enough, I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep sharing it. And when the community builds, it's going to build. And it is there. I think I've been on YouTube for like 5 years. I'm very small. I'm very tiny on YouTube. But you got to start, right?
Yeah,
you got to just do it. And also, never discount the fact that there's nothing wrong with self-promotion. There's nothing wrong with me meeting you and saying, Ibrahim, do you follow me on YouTube? Please go subscribe. There's absolutely nothing wrong with saying that. Go onto your socials, go to your friends, go to whoever. Those should be your first people that you go to. Family and friends. Guys, if you all have YouTube, please subscribe. If you meet a friend, and if that's where you want to build, ask your people to support you on it. And it is. And I think a lot of times people think that self-promotion is about ego, but no, it's just about sharing where I am and saying, support me. And it's okay. It's the same thing as people saying, don't be afraid to ask for help. Yes, it's the same as it's the same thing. I'm asking you for help in supporting me.
Yeah, it's effectively
go
saying,
and just subscribe. It's free.
It's effectively saying, hey, I just opened up this new restaurant. You should try and come, have a meal with us.
Yes.
100%. No, I fully agree with that.
Yeah.
We're speaking a lot about people now and, people's reactions. Another big thing that I wanted to actually discuss is mindset, particularly to the, let's say, Muslim and Indian culture or people, I think we have a very different sort of mindset that can sometimes be very narrowed, right? And claustrophobic. Now, when I look at you, I look at somebody that really pushed against sort of like the norm, your normal, as you mentioned, normal Muslim girl and all of that. And, really created something around something that you believed in and the person that you were.
Yeah.
Right? Can you talk to us a little bit about pushing against that norm and pushing against those sort of constraints?
Sure. So I don't think it's an easy thing, but I think that well, I'm grateful for my parents being a bit chill, but my mother's very traditional. She was very conservative. My dad was a lot more liberal. My dad was always this guy who'd be like, you grab every opportunity and you figure it out afterwards. He was always like that.
Wow.
But he was also, I mean, my mom's very conservative. So, you know, we all know how the woman is in the household. The control is there. We just keep quiet. But I know my mom would just be behind my dad and be like, no, you know, like, this is not what is expected of a young girl. This is not this. Whereas my dad would be like, if there's an opportunity and it's something you want to explore, why not take it and do it? When it comes to society's expectations, though, it was definitely a struggle at the time, because your parents always just want the best for you. And I think, especially in the South African Indian diaspora, it's about fitting within what the cultural identity of an Indian South African person should be, should look like, should do. And because I didn't fit physically into the society's norms, I obviously didn't get married early enough. And I think that also puts a different level of anxiety on.
Yeah.
But it also pushed me to realize that what is there more than my physical appearance? Because I knew I had a brain, I could think, I could do everything else. Why are people so fixated on my physical appearance? And I think that was people say it's you go through a quarter life crisis, right, at 25? And I think that was a big part of my quarter life crisis. So I realized that I had friends who actually valued the fact that even though I didn't physically look like so they could have a conversation with me. I was a fun person to be around, I hope, most of the time. And I knew a little bit about a little bit, you know. And work also played a big part in the fact that it didn't matter what I looked like, it mattered the output that I was making. So and they realized that the value is in that, right? Because that's what we do when we're at work. And when I did eventually get married, I didn't marry inside the culture. And I think that was all part of the journey I was meant to take. And that helped me realize that there's more possibilities to the world out there. I may not be on your topic right now, but one of the other things that I think really changed things for me was travel. So when I first started working, I worked in government for a bit, and well, for a long time. I loved it. But we used to travel for missions overseas. And the most amazing thing about traveling, even actually before I worked for them, one of my first trips I went on, my dad, my sister was getting married, and I don't know how I got it right, but I kind of went like, so Dad, so can I go on an overseas trip? And my best friend, and maybe he was in like the wedding process that he didn't hear what I said. But my best friend and I booked a Kentucky, and the two of us went traveling, and travel is like the encyclopedia of the world. It's the university of the world.
100%.
It changes you. It opens your mind. It does so much to the way you look at things. And it also became something that just like I clicked with. So in my work, when I used to get to travel, I used to always try and see how would other Muslim communities also just live, work, and do. And that just, it opened up the possibilities of what there was. And I think I rebelled against the fact that society didn't accept me. And that's why I pushed further. I think that's why I pushed. Like, I was too loud. One of the things my mother used to say to me is, you're too loud and you smile too much. Nobody likes somebody who's happy all the time, right? and it would be so funny, because it was like, okay, I can't laugh loud enough. I can't be happy enough. I can't look the right way. I'm never going to fit into this. So you know what? Screw it. I'm done. I'm done trying to fit into society. And that really just, when I was done, I was like, okay, I'm just going to push the boundaries now. I'm done. And I love it.
It worked out very well.
Look, alhamdulillah, like, I think pushing boundaries doesn't mean losing the important things, especially religion, right? So I think you've got to know what your foundation is and where's your lines. Where are your lines that you cannot cross? That's important. But am I pushing boundaries against society? Yes. Am I going to continue to do it? Yes. Are they not going to like it? I don't care. They're not going to like it. Nobody's going to like every time you're going to push against a societal norm. It's okay.
And I think that's so important, you know, and I think, unfortunately, a lot of people don't think like that, and I think more people honestly need to think like that. I think if we look at, you know, how things go, everybody's so sort of constrained, everybody's so afraid of just being a little bit different, that you somehow tend to be a little bit miserable just trying to be happy.
But how do you control a society? You control them by fear, right? Fear of change, fear of difference, fear of moving outside of what you do. But that's where all the possibilities lie.
100%. So let me ask you this, right? And I know this is the way I think, but obviously I do have, a lot of anxiety and self-doubt. When we start up things and, take chat EbT as an example, my head already goes to, oh, this person is going to see it.
Yes.
What are they going to think? Or
Yes.
I bet they're going to laugh. Or I wonder if they'll enjoy it. Or, and you think of 100 different things. And I'm sure at the beginning you probably did something similar as, oh, my mom and dad are going to see this video. Or my, cousin or my friend or whatever. How do you sort of push past that? How do you get over that a little bit?
No, you can't. It eats away at you. It does, right? But the reality is that if I have to continue living life according to what that one person who's going to hate on me or who's going to just feel that I'm doing everything wrong or who I know is laughing at me. I mean, as long as I can't hear it,
I think that's a
carry
great way
on
to
laughing,
look at it.
friend. Carry on laughing. The reality is we can never control how other people are going to see us or think about us or anything. We can just be who we are, and the most important thing is be a good person and keep Allah at your forefront, right?
100%.
And I think that's the most important. Are we going to always make everybody happy? No. Am I always going to be feisty? Yes. Are people going to like that? No. But I'm not going to change who I am. Like a lot of times people, one of the things I get the most is that people can see how I talk, right? So I talk, I throw in random words. It's very South African. It's very, I don't know. I don't want to say it's cultural, but I want to say it's just me. It's just my personality, right? And then when you put a comment and I reply with the same energy and the same personality, you go, oh my gosh, no. Your job is to just be nice to me and just accept that I just told you this. I'm like, no. If you're going to say something to me and you want to say it publicly, then you must be able to take it back.
Take it back, 100%.
We can happily have a banter or we can turn this into a conversation. But if you're going to get it, you're going to get the energy you give is the energy you get.
100%,
right?
yeah.
And if you, I'm going to be feisty because I am feisty as a person. And I've already had this now, let's say, rebellious nature with society. But like, if I am feisty as a person already and you know it because you watch my videos and you can see that that's the personality I have, why do you think that's not the personality that's going to come back at you if you're going to say something that's not necessarily kind or not necessarily something you needed to say? I have no problem with recognizing, and I've made lots of mistakes. Sometimes I'm in a bad mood and then I reply and I realize afterwards, you know what, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
And I recognize I'm not perfect at all. None of us are, right? And we all make mistakes, and maybe the comments that I put 5 years ago, I look back at it now and I think, whoa, what space were you in when you said that? You can say it a bit kinder, and we all are. I may have done things then and now I change. The whole idea of growing to be better every day is who I was 5 years ago is not who I am today. Maybe the way I respond today would be different. Maybe the way I would have addressed that situation would be different. But the same way that I have to give you the benefit of being able to grow over the last, you have to give me the benefit of being able to grow over the last 5 years. But I've come to the thing that are you going to laugh at me instead of with me? Yes. Should it affect how I feel about me? No. Because that's a you problem, not a me problem.
I love that. I think that's probably the best way to look at it.
Yes.
And I think, hopefully if people and some of the viewers can actually look at emulating that, I think we'll just come so far. Things will just be very, very different in the way that you look at yourself. And I think that's the most important thing.
And I think especially if you grow up like, if there's things about you that society didn't accept, right? You're so used to people ridiculing you, right? That it affects you so much because that's what you're most scared of. And we're absolutely afraid of people ridiculing us. It is that. But it is a them problem. It's not a me problem, it is a you problem, because you are so set in your mindset of making fun of others that actually there must be something going on with you as well. And I pray that you heal from it. I really pray that you deal with that and you heal from it. But I also think that if the more I let it affect me, the more I'm taking on you, like I'm giving you power to control how I feel. And at some point I need to take my power back. And that's a big thing that comes from therapy, life coaching, all of those things. It's
Yeah.
about taking your power back, right? And I think it's super important because we really do give people too much power to make fun of us, to ridicule us, to put us down, to hate on us. We give them too much power. You know what, bruh? Sit in your house, hate on me, do what you need to do. Ya Allah, please, just, I hope you heal one day. But, and if you really want to, here's my thing. If you really want to, why not have the conversation with me?
Yeah.
It's a hard conversation to have. Just have it with me. What do you hate about me? Or how can I make you feel better about it? And if I can't, and if you're just stuck on it, then I can't. There are certain things you just can't do. Some people like eating figs. Some people don't like eating figs. It is what it is. You're not going to love every food that's out there. You're not going to love every foodie that's out there. Move on. Nobody's asking you to, forcing you to eat the figs. Move on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Go and eat the strawberries. Follow that page. Look at those things. Block me. You don't want to see me, block me. Just block me.
See, you know, very interesting because it leads actually into my next question.
Yes.
One of the things you said there is the person I was 5 years ago is not the person I am today.
Yeah.
Right? This is a question, or this set of questions we want to sort of try and ask every guest.
Yes.
And, you know, see the different responses we get. So one of the most common questions in a job interview is, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Right? Now, I'm going to switch that around a bit. If we had to go 10 years ago
Yeah.
to you, where did you see yourself 10 years ago being today? And number one, how different is it?
Yeah.
And number two, how do you feel about that?
I would never have seen myself where I am now. I would have loved to have told myself to just believe in myself more. But where I am now is the best place ever. So
No, that's
I
great.
can't be unhappy. Alhamdulillah, I'm just grateful for where I am. Shukr.
What would you like people to take away from this interview? The viewers, what would you like them to take away from your interview today? And if you had to choose a specific group of people,
Yeah.
who would you like to take that message away?
I'd say never stop being like your authentic self. Don't do things just because you want other people to like you. And be true to your heart. Like, be true to your heart and trust yourself. And obviously, I'd like to say it's every young girl who's out there doubting themselves. It's every single, actually, it's not just the young girls. It's the young boys as well. It's every person out there who's doubting themselves. It's every lady who's turned 40 and is wondering, is this a time when I want to pivot my life or not? It's every person who's there wondering, where am I right now and how do I navigate further? It's just, I think, just sit back and believe in yourself a little bit and just be authentically true to you and your heart.
No, 100%. What's next for Fehmz, the brand, and Fehmz, the person?
Ya Allah, I have no idea. Whatever Allah sends my way.
That's great.
Whatever He sends my way. We've got some exciting things in the pipeline, but honestly, it's whatever He sends my way. It's a very simple like dua that you always want to make, is that, oh Allah, if it's good for me, please bring it to me, and if it's not good for me, please keep it away from me. So even if it's my dream to do something, Allah, if it's not good for me, just keep it away from me, you know.
100%.
But if it's good for me, please bring me that goodness. That's what I want. So yeah, I mean, the dreams are there, whether it's some way or other. I know this sounds so cryptic, but I never like to talk about things until they come, until they happen, right?
I get that. Yeah.
But I'm working on a ton of things this year, but I honestly have no idea. Whatever Allah brings my way, inshallah, may I be able to see the opportunity and grab it.
When you mentioned, you know, brand deals at the beginning,
Yeah.
right? How do you determine which is the right brand for you?
Look, every brand will send you some kind of brief. If it relates to me, if it's something that I feel that fits my brand style, the aesthetic that I don't really have an aesthetic, let's be honest, but the vibe, the personality, the everything about me, then I'd be like, yes. If I feel it's of value also to share to the community, then I feel like those are the things I take. But there are obviously hard lines, small hard lines. If it's something I don't eat, I'm not sharing it.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense for me to be able to share with you something that I'm not going to go to a supermarket and buy it off the shelf as well. So if I'm going to buy it off the shelf, then I'm going to tell you. Am I the healthiest person? No, I eat a lot of junk. I love sugar. I love all of those things. So do I use health things. I'm not a health account. Like a lot of people go, can
Yeah.
you cook a lot more? And I go, I'm not a health account. Please follow an account that does healthy stuff. I just share my everyday food, or I share things I treat myself to. And yes, I mean, I eat sugar.
Yeah.
But I'll always share things that if I'm going to go to a store and I'm going to buy it off a shelf, then that's what I'm going to share. If I'm going to go on a travel somewhere, and I'm going to show you the things I do. If I'm going to drive a certain car, I'm going to show you the things I enjoy about this car. And those are the kind of things I do. Like I'm generally a petrolhead, so I'll always talk about something or other in a car or,
Yeah.
or a whatever. But even if it's something as simple as, you know, this is the, I'm trying to think of simple stuff. This is the clothing that I like to buy, you know, because I'm going to share it. If I feel like it relates to me and it's something that fits within who I am and who my personality is, I will. If it's a brand that I don't buy at all and I don't believe in, and I'm not going to share it. And even if the brand deal comes to me, and have I said no to brand deals? Yes. It's not easy to say no sometimes, especially like if you know that this is your bread and butter. But I can't ethically say yes to something that I'm not going to buy myself. Simple things, maybe margarine. Right now, I'm just saying right now, I don't eat margarine, so why would I promote margarine?
Yeah, 100%.
Simple things like that. I'm a ghee and butter girl. Right?
Yeah, no.
So
No, that makes a lot of sense. And in essence, that's probably, and I think if you had to look at it, that's probably a reason, you know, that's driven your success is for that. It's, you know, the belief in the product, the belief in what you do. I think a lot of people are, you know, kind of go with the whole aspect of, yeah, okay, let me do whatever I can do.
Yes.
You know, hey, this margarine company wants me to do something, great, let's do it. It's views, you know.
and look, I've stopped. You have to come to a point where you have to value the things that you do, and people have to be able to value the work that you put in to do that. So every brand deal I get, I take it on as a job. This is the job. I have a professional responsibility to the job. And that's also very important. It's about how you look at things, right? So it doesn't matter whether it's a big brand or it's a lady who sells cupcakes from home. If I've accepted the job and I'm getting paid for the job, I got to do the job professionally. And a lot of times, like nowadays, people will go, oh, you know, can you do these, can you just accept this and do that? And I go, I have a rate card, and these are the charges to it. And if you want to work together, I have worked, so I can't tell you, it's been so beautiful to work with small businesses, especially in our community,
100%.
who receive a rate card and go, Fehmz, we love what you do and we value what we do. Yes, we're choosing this option. Let's do it. I've worked with the most beautiful small businesses that do that. And the ones who can't, they always come back to me and they say, listen, I'm kind of here in my budget. How can we do this? I love when it's a mutual, when we can develop a good mutually beneficial relationship. And I find I'm so impressed by small businesses nowadays who are starting to take that sort of stuff way more seriously. They're really considering how they market themselves, how they use social media to get themselves out there. I love it. It's actually such a beautiful thing to see the evolution of the way social media has changed the way people see
the world.
And I mean, it's been able to launch small businesses from literal startups to fully fledged amazing businesses.
Yeah.
And local economy, the development of local economy is the most important part. That's my government side coming. But like, if I see people building things, doing things on their own, they're building their businesses on their own, it excites me even more.
No,
It's the best
100%.
thing.
I mean, if you and just talks to the, you know, the change, as you mentioned, right, the way the world has changed. It's something that, you know, you're saying small businesses have to take it seriously, because at the end of the day, that's how people are getting out there. I mean, look at
Yes.
a great example would be to look at is the viral chocolate trend in Dubai.
Yes, yes.
Right? That became, you know, it blew up,
It
and
was
all of a
crazy.
sudden
People are still doing it.
People are still doing it, and it went from some lady's small little bakery that she was doing, and now it's being sold, you know, in every bakery they can get their hands of it, they're taking it over. So I think, you know, the importance of social media really can't be overlooked, especially when it comes to small businesses.
And I want to take it that extra step to say, but as a business, you have to look at it seriously. You got to develop your marketing strategy, and you can't not build a marketing strategy into your costing. Build it into the cost of your product, so that you know this 1 rand or 2 rand per whatever
going
per
towards my
cupcake
marketing.
gets put aside to a marketing budget. And I'm not saying that that little marketing budget is just to pay an influencer or to pay somebody to. It can also just be your own Google ads. It can be your own paid promos within the apps. Those are important things as small businesses that you should be doing in every single product you make. It's important.
No, 100%. I think, as you mentioned, it's been a game changer.
Yeah.
It's literally changed our
Yeah.
world.
But remember, they all play together, right? So TV, social media, and print, they all play together. So never lose the idea that that's the only place to go, because you got to have spaces for your things to live, for other ways. And you know, the friend of mine, his mum actually had the best idea, and she said, yes, it's lovely to just only put the stuff on Instagram, but I'm the kind of person who's like, if I receive a pamphlet at the robot, I'm reading that pamphlet.
Yep.
And I want to see those things. So there is a generation of people who are also interested in what does print look like? What is that? So never discount the possibilities of all the different arenas. Never just keep like, don't put the blinkers on and just stick to like, all I need is Instagram. You don't. Be open.
No, 100%. I'm going to apologize in advance, because I'm pretty sure we're going to be troubling you many more times on the show and getting you much more on here. And I definitely look forward to our next chats. But, you know, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be with us today, and most importantly, for helping me launch ChatGPT.
No, I'm so excited to be part of this. So thank you so much, and thank you for having me. And I don't know, it's been fun. If people can learn one thing from this entire interview, then it will have been a success already. So
Lovely.
That's how you see. My boss used to say, if you buy one book and you just get one idea from an entire like 700-page book, it will still have been a worth it cost, right?
100%.
Because one idea is one idea you didn't have before that. So I hope if we can help some people.
Thank you for joining us for our very first episode of Chat EBT. I think we've got some phenomenal insight into social media, into anxiety, into self-doubt and self-confidence. And, you know, we've explored so many great topics today. I can't wait to explore more. Join us again on the next episode of Chat EBT.